Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Ridge sees destiny while Hope tugs Carter's strings. According to teasers on The Bold and the Beautiful, Hope Logan is often with the man she loves these days. Therefore, her eavesdropping in the corridor outside of what is now Carter Walton's executive suite was not shocking. In the building that is named after his family, not Hope's or Carter's, Ridge Forrester made an unexpected entrance. He visited his former and possibly future pal. The loss of Carter's conscience was one of the many subjective connotations symbolized by his wounded and bleeding hand. Hope would respond, however, that Carter has been prepared to endure hardship in order to build the future of Forrester Creations. Was the future of Forrester Creations in danger? FC was unlikely to fail or be unable to prosper in the near future. However, that wasn't Carter's primary argument. A luxury brand makeover was the ambition of the company's former chief operating officer and head counsel. The idea was disliked by Ridge and Steffi Forrester Finnegan. But Carter's determination was strengthened by Eric Forrester's categorical refusal. Nobody, however, can argue that Carter's vision was or is incorrect. Due to the success of the jewelry line that Carter resurrected, FC expanded its operations. Fans are aware that Daphne Rose is Steffi's double agent, and the fragrance line will follow. Carter Walton desires to rejoin his family. If Carter maintains her and Brooke Logan in power, Hope is probably going to be happy. But soon, catastrophe was coming, Ridge said. Hope was informed by Carter that he did not want the strategy to go as planned. She is aware that when he created the misleading LLC paperwork, her urging overcame his reluctance. Ridge noticed that Carter wasn't in charge of FC. Hope's affirmations of love and support strengthen him. It's difficult to argue against her intentions, because romance is inherently subjective. But according to Kay's character, Carter has once more let himself fall too quickly and forcefully. A different destiny for Ridge Forrester. Ideally, Carter envisions the Forresters returning to the executive suite and the company growing as he has hoped. However, it's possible that he only wants Ridge back, with Brooke and Hope maintaining their positions of authority and Steffi taking on a new job in the reorganized business structure. Brooke is maintaining an open mind and heart. She thinks Ridge will return and they will resume their long-term, if intermittent, romance. Ridge, however, has a different perspective on this. Although he acknowledges his love for Brooke, he believes Taylor Hayes is the most reliable choice, with trust being the most important consideration. Brooke is not now a part of Ridge's vision of the future. Rather, it's regaining his family's influence in the company his parents started many years ago, and he anticipates that happening soon. What is Hope going to do next? At Forrester Creations, Hope Logan is feeling isolated. The dynamics of the business were drastically altered when Carter Walton deceitfully persuaded Ridge and Steffi Forrester to sign the LLC's authority over to him. After most of the family left in protest, Carter and Hope took over the business. At best, those who kept their jobs felt conflicted, and it now appears that Carter's own guilt is causing the international luxury company he had envisioned to fail. It was Brooke who helped Carter discover his conscience. When Carter offered her the CEO post, Brooke Logan accepted with the goal of remaining in his ear. Ridge has been told by Brooke that quitting his position was never meant to be a betrayal, but rather a means of persuading Carter to act morally. Brooke and Carter have spent a lot of time talking about remorse, highlighting how this coup has cost them both Ridge. The two men had a heartfelt embrace after acknowledging that they have missed their friendship more than anything else, suggesting that it has finally worked. Hope at last understands that she is the only one having a celebration. Seeing Hope's incapacity to read the room at Ivy's jewelry launch was nearly agonizing. For starters, Ivy Forrester wasn't even there on the big day, and even though the launch went well, nobody was really celebrating. As Hope ran around gloating over their win, Carter, Brooke, Steffi, and everyone else were visibly conflicted. Feeling like a traitor, Carter finally told Hope the truth and recommended that this success be their way to end things on a high note. Hope finds it difficult to comprehend his suggestion that they apologize for their dishonesty. Hope burst out in shock upon discovering that they aren't even on the same page, much less in the same book. This time, Brooke is not endorsing Hope. Hope hurried to the design office to speak with her mother after failing to persuade Carter to change his mind, but Brooke didn't offer much assistance. Brooke has no trouble telling Hope that he is not on her side in this infrequent occurrence. She informs her that Carter is also missing his closest buddy and that taking the company was never acceptable. When Brooke questions why Carter spends every holiday with the Forresters and doesn't talk about his family, Hope tries to downplay the influence of Ridge on Carter's life but is unsuccessful. Oddly, given that she has been declaring her love for him for months, Hope is unsure of the response. When Hope comes to speak with Carter after receiving little encouragement from Brooke, she discovers him in a bear embrace with Ridge. She thought she could prevent him from interacting with Ridge, and now it's obvious that she was right in the face of it. As the storm develops, hearts and secrets collide. Ridge Forrester's elegant office was dotted with golden rays as the afternoon sun flooded through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Forrester Creations, but the warmth of the light did little to ease the chilly tension that was smoldering in the air. Ridge shifted uneasily in his leather chair as Hope Logan stood erect in the middle of the room, her normally gentle hazel eyes blazing with a wrath. She had unexpectedly entered his haven, clutching a folder of ideas that he had smugly rejected days before, her shoes clicking like a metronome of rage. Her voice trembled not with fear but with the weight of years of suppressed wrath. "You don't get to undermine everything I built for Hope for the future," she growled. "Dad, this line is more than simply a brand. It's my voice. That's who I am. And you," she slammed the folder down on his desk, knocking a pen to the ground, "you've been using me as a stand-in for years. As if I were merely Brooke's daughter pretending to be CEO. The silver in Ridge's beard caught the light as he crossed his arms and leaned back, his signature smirk wavering. "Come on, Hope. This is getting to be too personal for you. I'm working to move the business forward. By wiping me out?" With a brittle laugh, she broke off. "My sustainable fabric initiative was vetoed by you. My team was reallocated by you. Because the maternity apparel campaign wasn't glamorous enough, you even attempted to have it cancelled. What comes next? Should the line be renamed Ridge's Redemption?" Ridge's jaw tensed as her sarcasm oozed like acid. This wasn't the Hope he knew, the kind-hearted person who had always looked to him for praise and the peacemaker. This woman's rage had been building for years, making her a tempest. "You don't think I understand the true significance of this?" She stepped forward, pressing, her finger piercing the air. "You're in danger. Because Mom isn't your supporter for once. In this, she is my partner. And you find it intolerable that we're doing well without you." Ridge's calmness broke. His chair screeched on the marble floor as he leaped to his feet. His voice was low as he cautioned, "Don't bring your mother into this. I have a history with Brooke, but this is about you not being prepared to lead." "Not prepared?" With tears gleaming but not dropping, Hope's voice rose. "I've lived my entire life to prove myself to you. To Mom. To everyone who believes that I'm just a simple, innocent girl with a well-known last name. Guess what, though?" She paused to hurl one last grenade before turning abruptly and placing her hand on the doorframe. "I'm done begging for your respect. Perhaps it's time for you to move away if you are unable to support my vision." Her words echoed like a splinter beneath Ridge's skin as he stared blankly at the crumpled patterns on his desk as the door slammed behind her. Permanently. In the bright kitchen of Katie Logan's Mediterranean-style property across town, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and unspoken secrets filled the air. With her blonde curls bouncing with every step, Katie hummed absently while she piled blueberry scones on a porcelain tray. She had assumed that Brooke's unexpected arrival had been a pleasant surprise. Katie felt a twinge of discomfort as her older sister walked the tile floor, her crimson jacket standing out against the pastel decor. As if practicing a speech, Brooke's eyes darted and her well-groomed nails tapped against her phone. As she put down the plate, Katie teasingly said, "Brooke, you're frightening me. Did Ridge make another proposal? Or did you ultimately persuade him to have that awful tattoo taken off?" When Brooke stopped smiling, she stopped laughing. Rather, Brooke's knuckles whitened as she held onto the counter's edge. I have to tell you something, Katie. Something I ought to have mentioned years ago. The room tilted. With her therapist's intuition telling her that whatever happened next would shatter the tenuous peace they had re-established since Bill's treachery, Katie's palm fluttered to her chest. She encouraged, her voice more steady than she felt, Brooke, just say it, whatever it is. As though she were preparing for a blow, Brooke closed her eyes. Beth is the subject. Katie stopped. The name hovered like a specter between them. Beth. Hope had lamented the loss that had all but destroyed their family, the kid who had been taken from them at birth. How about Beth? Katie muttered, her throat parched. She is alive. Amidst the quiet, the words exploded. Katie stumbled back, slamming her hip against the table's edge. What? No. That isn't feasible. Brooke, we were there. We shared Hope's grief. We laid her to rest. An empty casket was buried. Brooke burst out, her mascara streaked with tears. Beth was Phoebe, Steffi's daughter. Months ago, I learned. Flo said that she had been paid to fabricate the stillbirth story. Steffi received Beth as a surrogate when she was stolen, sold, and handed to her. Katie's legs gave out. With her head spinning, she collapsed into a chair. They had known Flo, the cousin they had embraced, protected, and trusted. How long have you known? Asks Brooke. She rasped, her tone sharpened by betrayal. Brooke winced. Since February. Ridge and I made the decision to remain silent until we could provide proof. We wanted to be sure before we destroyed Hope once more. You didn't wish to ruin Hope? Katie's chair clattered to the floor as she jumped to her feet. You lied, then? To all of us? To me? Are you aware of what this secret has accomplished? Hope has endured years of suffering. And as Steffi reared her, you allowed her to believe her baby was dead? Tears were streaming down her face as she spoke. Brooke, how could you? What made you so self-centered? Katie flinched away as Brooke reached for her. I wanted to share with you. Brooke begged. Ridge, however, urged that we hold off until the DNA findings were in. Then, my goodness, Katie, I was frightened. I died a little inside every day when I gazed at Hope. However, I believed that shielding her from unrealistic optimism was preferable to. Instead of telling her the truth? Katie spit. Brooke, you have no right to meddle in her life. You ought to have spoken up for her since you are her mother. Instead, as always, you let Ridge to intimidate you into silence. The charge dangled like a knife. Brooke's face fell flat. You believe I'm unaware of that? She sobbed. I've cried on the toilet floor at night, despising myself. However, the reason I'm telling you now is because Hope deserves to know. I also can't do this by myself. Katie gazed at her sister, the person she had admired, the sister who had repeatedly broken and saved her heart. The air was heavy with decades of competition and love, and the kitchen walls appeared to shut in. You're right, Katie remarked icily as she wiped away her tears. Hope is worthy of the truth. However, you are not worthy of telling her. Brooke let out a sound like a blow. Please, Katie. Leave. Hope's remarks were gnawing at Ridge's conscience as he stood at the window of Forrester Creations, watching the city pulse below. The door creaked open, and he turned, anticipating his daughter's return. Perhaps it's time you moved aside. Rather, Brooke stood in the doorway, her normally flawless stance in ruins and her face devastated by tears. Katie knows, she stutteringly said. His blood froze. What? Concerning Beth. I informed her. Brooke staggered forward and fell onto the chair that Hope had left empty. And she hates me. She is correct. I am a monster. As soon as I learned, I ought to have informed Hope. I ought to have. Ridge knelt in front of her and took hold of her trembling hands, saying, Brooke. We followed our instincts. We were awaiting evidence. Evidence? She wrenched her hands loose. We succeeded. We had the DNA test and Flo's confession. However, you insisted on waiting until Thomas's custody dispute was resolved. Ridge, you used this to manipulate me. Hold off till Hope becomes stronger. As if you were in charge of everyone. He tensed. That is unfair. Isn't it? She got up and raised her voice. You've manipulated the people you care about your entire life. Guess what, though? Hope can now see right through you. And Katie, my goodness, she will never pardon me. Ridge stood up, losing his temper. You believe that I am solely to blame? It was you who pleaded with me to be quiet. Hope couldn't cope with losing another kid, you stated. Because I was afraid. Brooke yelled. However, you were being calculating. You wished to keep Steffi from losing Beth. Admit it. The silence reverberated with the truth of it. Ridge averted his gaze, his image shattered in the mirror. Brooke gave a sour laugh. Incredible. You can't prioritize Hope even now. Ridge, she's your daughter. Your daughter. Steffi is also my daughter. His facade collapsing, he yelled. You believe that this has been simple? I am aware that Hope questions why I didn't love her more every time she looks at me. Being aware that I let them both down? Brooke's rage turned to sorrow. With a cautious touch, she reached for him. We must inform her. Today. Before everything is destroyed by this. Ridge's throat tightened as he nodded silently. He grabbed her wrist as Brooke turned to go. I apologize, for what it's worth. She didn't turn around. I am, too. Invisible, but massive repercussions from the altercation shook Los Angeles. Hope sat by herself on the terrace of the cliffside mansion, her hair tangled by the Pacific breeze, as she repeated what she had spoken to Ridge. Had she overreached herself? A part of her wanted to apologize, to collapse into her father's embrace, and to act as though nothing had happened. However, the bigger portion, the one that had discovered its spine, whispered, no. He must hear this. Katie texted her, and her phone buzzed. We must speak. It is urgent. Hope scowled. Katie's voice seemed unusually solemn. She was about to respond when the patio doors opened. Ridge loomed like a shadow behind Brooke as she stood there, her face white but determined. There's something your father and I need to tell you, Brooke said, tears already streaming down her face. Ridge's request from Brooke. Ridge Forrester and Brooke Logan have been involved in a turbulent relationship for a long time. Over the years, their passionate and conflicted love story has encountered many difficulties. As of right now, their relationship is tense, and Ridge's feelings for Taylor Hayes seem to fluctuate. Brooke makes a passionate plea to Ridge, asking him to re-evaluate their relationship and their shared past, in an effort to save their marriage. In an attempt to rekindle the spark that previously held them together, she highlights the depth of their relationship and the life they have created together. Ridge, meanwhile, is still divided between his renewed love for Taylor and his long-standing feelings for Brooke. Brooke finds herself at a vulnerable emotional crossroads as she faces the prospect of losing the guy she has loved for decades. Hope's career goals and personal relationships. Hope Logan, meanwhile, is negotiating her own set of difficulties in the Forrester Creations hallways. She works closely with Carter Walton, the company's COO, as a result of her career goals. Initially founded on respect for one another and common objectives, their collaboration starts to conflate personal and professional spheres. Hope is captivated to Carter because of his charisma and commitment. She handles the situation cautiously since she understands the possible problems of a romance at work, but it gets harder and harder to control her growing affections. Carter, meanwhile, is just as enthralled with Hope but is aware of the possible effects their relationship may have on their jobs and the dynamics of the organization. Both of them are keenly aware that their choices could have significant repercussions for both themselves and those around them as they walk this fine line. Crossing routes and family conflicts. Their mother-daughter connection is made more complex by the inevitable intersection of Brooke and Hope's personal struggles. Because she is focused on her own marriage problems, Brooke might not realize how involved Hope is with Carter. Hope, on the other hand, is preoccupied with her own personal and professional problems even if she supports her mother's situation. As both ladies look for answers to their individual problems, this simultaneous upheaval fosters a sense of tension among the Logan family. With the possibility of major changes in both personal and professional ties within Forrester Creations, the stakes are high. The takeover of Forrester Creations. In order to establish her power and change the course of the business, Hope decided to plan a takeover of Forrester Creations. She felt that working together with Carter Walton would bring about a new era of success and creativity. The Forrester family, however, fiercely opposed this audacious move, seeing it as a breach of tradition and trust. Important family members, including Steffi and Ridge Forrester, voiced their strong opposition in a fast retaliation. In addition to endangering the company's stability, the internal conflict damaged Hope's standing inside the family business. The Carter-Walton affair. Hope's personal involvement with Carter Walton added to the professional strife. What started off as a collaboration based on shared goals quickly turned into a covert love affair. But there were many issues with this connection. Once a dependable ally, Carter started to have second thoughts, which caused friction between him and Hope. Hope was left emotionally crushed and alone after Carter ended the relationship due to the strain of their covert affair and the increasing demands of their professional pursuits. The betrayal of Brooke. Hope experienced an unanticipated betrayal from her mother, Brooke Logan, amid these difficulties. In the past, Brooke had consistently encouraged her daughter to pursue her goals. But in response to Hope's aggressive tactics within the organization, Brooke recently sided with Steffi Forrester. Hope saw this partnership as a deep personal betrayal, which made her feel even more alone and increased her uneasiness about her role in the firm and in her family.